All right, Maddie. So now we're in the actual talk portion of our interview. This will be broken into 4 quarters since we are in sports and entertainment. The first quarter is going to be our preseason, which will be just a quick introduction of yourself and one aspect of sports that you appreciate the most. Quarter 2 is going to be our training days, which will be your early career path, high school, college years. Third quarter is going to be your current role in your day-to-day with the Dallas Cowboys. And then we're going to end it off in the playoffs. We're going to end it off with some really good career advice that you have for our students. So jumping right into it, I'm going to start with our preseason. So just going to your name, where you're from, where you work, and then what is the one aspect of sports that you appreciate the most?
Yeah, thanks, Christian. My name is Maddie Redmond, and I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I work for the Dallas Cowboys in corporate partnerships marketing. And one aspect of working in sports that I appreciate the most is being part of something that people are so passionate about. I really get to provide a source of entertainment for fans, and oftentimes it's an escape for them from their day-to-day lives. And for me, that's really rewarding, working for an NFL team, knowing that the highlight of many people's weeks is Sunday because that's when football's on. And so my job really feeds into those emotions and allows people to experience excitement and fun, sometimes heartbreak, but all a really, really amazing emotional experience when they're watching a football game.
Perfect. And speaking to the emotional connection, going back to your early career days, high school, college years, how did that kind of emotional connection kind of play into what did you want to do initially as a career?
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I really wanted to be a sideline reporter and be the next Aaron Andrews. So I was a writer for the sports section of the newspaper. I played basketball, went to just about every sporting event that my high school had, and every Sunday I watched football with my parents. During high school, I worked for a gym as the summer camp coordinator, and I planned a weekly schedule full of different sports and physical activities for our campers, and was able to manage a staff of counselors, and I sold camp packages to parents. And towards the end of my high school time, I knew that I wanted to work in sports, and I thought that going the journalism route was my only option. So I had gotten accepted to Arizona State University, and I visited the School of Mass Communications and Journalism in the downtown Phoenix area. And I didn't really love that the journalism school wasn't on the main Tempe campus. So I ended up switching my degree and declaring a marketing major and going to the business school. And during my first couple weeks at ASU, I went to a career fair hosted by the Sports Business Association, handed out my resume to a few different teams and companies. And the very last table that I went to, I had kind of struck up a conversation with 2 women, really approachable women at Navigate Research. And we immediately started talking about my nail polish, of all things. And as we talked more, I looked around and realized that no one else was there, that everyone had packed up their tables and there were no students left. And we had just gotten lost in a really great conversation. And a few days later, I received a couple different offers for internships and ultimately chose that market research internship with Navigate. And that internship really gave me my start in sports and gave me a look into the world of sponsorships, which I know is ultimately the career path that I've chosen to be in and what I'm working in now.
Perfect. So what would you say was probably the hardest part or the biggest challenge that you had to overcome whenever you were going through the job fairs and just getting yourself out there in your early college years?
I think especially being, a younger female, there's definitely a lack of credibility that you might have, and you might be looked at as somebody who, oh, you're just a girl who maybe likes sports, but how do you really know that much? So being able to assert myself as, look, I'm a fan, just like you. You're a fan of sports too. And I really know what I'm talking about, and I really love what I'm doing, and I'm confident about it. So I think confidence was probably the biggest struggle that I had, and that was something that I really just had to open up and know that I'm just going to own what I want to do and take control of that, because no one can change that and no one can take that away from me. And that's ultimately what is going to make me, stand out from somebody else.
Absolutely. And I definitely can see how that transferred into your current role. So going into our regular season, our third quarter, your day-to-day at with the Dallas Cowboys, if a student were to shout at you for a day, what would they see you doing on your day-to-day?
I'll get into kind of like my personal day-to-day, but also my work, just because I think it says a lot about me too. So if you were to shadow me for a day, you'd see me waking up at 5 a.m., taking my dog on a walk, drinking my cup of coffee while journaling and meditating, and then getting ready for work and making some breakfast before I get to work, getting in the car, driving to work. My drive is about half an hour, so I like to listen to a podcast to really kind of get ready for the day, get in a good headspace. And then my typical work day involves sitting and joining different meetings with teammates on both the marketing and the sales team, emailing, talking on the phone with clients, and having different planning or brainstorm meetings with my team. I have quite a few happy hours that I'll go to with clients, whether we're meeting to catch up or celebrate something. It's just really nice to get that face-to-face time with clients outside of work and not necessarily just be talking about what I need from them or what they need from me, just trying to get to know them better on a personal base. And I think the most satisfying aspect of my job is being able to be creative with a client's idea and being able to see something like a big event or a campaign and seeing that from start to finish and really just come full circle. Very rewarding to see something that you've worked really hard on come to life at the end. And one skill that I think has probably helped me the most is my people skills. And I had a boss that once told me that, you can teach someone to be a good marketer, you can teach someone to be good at sales, but if they don't have those people skills, they're a lot less valuable to your team. And so those skills really involve being able to have a conversation with a stranger, opening yourself up to your clients so that they can relate to you and to trust you, and then having empathy. And at the end of the day, loving each other, knowing that we're all people at the end of the day. So how can I, show love and be kind to you and just be a good human being? That at the end of the day, I think people forget that those skills are really, really important.
Absolutely. And going to your point about people skills, what other correlation would you say that you've seen from your early high school years going into your current role today? What other big skills or big differences did you see that has helped you succeed in your career?
Well, in high school, I was really involved with DECA, and through DECA, I was able to take some leadership positions and was the state president and got to speak in front of large groups of students and advisors. And so I think for students, any opportunity that you have to speak in front of a larger group and put yourself out there, that will help you with those people skills and help you just kind of break free of any worries or fears that you might have about being open and vulnerable. Allow yourself to get to that place where you might feel a little bit uncomfortable, but know that at the end of the day, there's really no pressure when you're just thinking about talking to another person.
Going to end up with some powerful career advice. So if you could go back and tell your high school self one piece of advice, what would you tell yourself?
If I could go back to high school and give myself one piece of advice about, just being a professional and being a grown-up, it would be just not being afraid to ask for help. So this is something as simple as not being afraid to pick up the phone and call your mom or dad when you feel overwhelmed and you don't know how to tell your roommate that you hate that they leave their side of the room a mess. Or even just asking your teachers or your professors in college for feedback on a project that maybe you worked really hard on, but you didn't get the grade that you thought that you should get. Ask them, how can I improve? How can I get better? Ask your parents, how do I adult? Don't be afraid to ask questions, because no one expects you to be an expert at this point in your life. By the end of my life, I don't even expect to be an expert really in anything. One next step that I think you can do to prepare yourself to take my job someday is just to think about the areas of business that you like. Maybe, do you like numbers? Maybe a role in analytics and research would be right for you. Do you like helping people and making a difference and talking to people? Maybe something like community relations is the right route for you. If you're able to, think about those things and identify what areas might match up in the sports business industry, then research those individuals that might have those same types of roles and work in those areas. Both on an entry level role like me as a coordinator or an executive level role like a VP or senior director. Study their path and then make that your own and just kind of own your journey to being whatever you want to be.
Well, I thank you for being who you are, Maddie. It was definitely a really great, insightful session with you. And I really encourage the high school student to watch this to definitely take her advice and Put yourself out there. We have a lot more content to come. We are officially done. Peace.